Welcome to the Gregory Neesmith Show, where we get personal about the news and the culture. Shout out to the underdogs, to my people, and even the occasional Trump supporter that might have accidentally found the show. I appreciate y'all of it. Because you know what we do here? We take politics, we take culture, and personal development. We put it in a blender, mix it all up, and it spits out a special delivery of underdog stuff. You know, we get into the uns here. The unavoidable, the unjust, the underrated, the unsaid, the uninhibited, the unconventional. You get it by now, underdog stuff. And let me put this disclaimer out here right now, especially if this is your first time listening to the program. And if it's not your first time, I appreciate all of you who've gone on the journey with the Gregory Neesmith Show. We've been doing this for a little over a year now. But for those of you who might be new, quick disclaimer, this ain't CNN. This ain't Hot 97. This ain't Fox News. This ain't MSNBC. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But oftentimes they cover the news and they commentate about it. But here at the Gregory Neesmith Show, we do that, plus we get personal about it. Let's get personal about the news and the culture. Are you kidding me? And this whole idea of are you kidding me is because there's been a lot of stuff going on recently with kids, with young adults, with the youth. So we're going to talk about it, especially because some of these kids lately have been showing up and showing out. Like this young lady from the March for Our Lives march.
My friends and I might still be 11, and we might still be in elementary school, but we know life isn't equal for everyone, and we know what is right and wrong. We also know that we stand in the shadow of the Capitol, and we know that we have 7 short years until we too have the right to vote. So I'm here today to honor the words of Toni Morrison. If there is a book that you want to read but it hasn't been written yet, you must be the one to write it. I urge everyone here and everyone who hears my voice to join me in telling the stories that aren't told. To honor the girls, the women of color who were murdered at disproportionate rates in this nation. I urge each of you to help me write the narrative for this world and understand so that these girls and women are never forgotten. Thank you.
And that was 11-year-old Naomi Wadler at the protest called March for Our Lives in D.C. and also happened around the country. We're going to get into that today. But of course, I love it when the kids are showing up and showing out. And as you know, of all the underdogs in the world, one of the largest populations of underdogs are kids. Because they're at the mercy of us adults and some things we do and don't do. But we'll get into it. Today's show, Are You Kidding Me? A lot of kids and youth themes going out throughout the show today. Remixes. And I'm Sprung. Dog, she got me. Got me doing things I never thought I'd do. If you ain't been, I'm telling you. We're going to talk about spring fever. Love is in the air. We're going to get to all of it. But as always, we start off every show with the unavoidable news stories of the week. This is one unavoidable news story that I'm not going to talk about today. I'm going to play this clip and then we moving on.
The president has addressed these directly and made very well clear that none of these allegations are true. This case has already been won in arbitration, and anything beyond that, I would refer you to the president's outside counsel.
You said that there's arbitration that's already been won? By whom and when?
By the president's personal attorneys, and for details on that, I would refer you to them.
But you're aware of them, so what more can you share with us?
I can share that that the arbitration was won in the president's favor, and I would refer you to the president's outside counsel on any details beyond that.
Okay, that's it. I'm not talking about Stormy Daniels this week or Donald Trump. If you want to hear my thoughts on it, I got a podcast. Search the Gregory Neesmith Show on iTunes, Podomatic, Stitcher, Google Play, and look for an episode called Stormy Weather. She's going to be speaking on 60 Minutes, some other stuff this week. I'm sure it'll be back in the news, but I'm not talking about it today. Staying focused. But I am going to talk about this. You know, before I got into this whole radio thing and entrepreneur stuff and creating content, and I just realized that actually we're starting the show and I never even introduced myself. Hi, my name is Gregory. I'm the host of the Gregory Neesmith Show. I'm an entrepreneur, content creator, leadership coach, business consultant, a bunch of stuff. But when it's all said and done, I'm into spreading special stuff. And this is one of my favorite things to do here, what we're doing for the next 2 hours. With that, though, before I started this whole journey, I spent 16 years in business, running companies both here in the U.S. and around the world, marketing, managing P&Ls, consumer insights, all that stuff. And I'll never forget, I came across this mantra, this quote, this saying, and it was, grow or die. The mantra inside the business world that I came across early in my career, this idea of grow or die. And I remember thinking, that's a bit extreme, ain't it? I mean, why we gotta die if we ain't growing? I'm like, dang, that seems rough. But then I started to think about it. Who remembers going to Blockbuster? And now what? Gone. Who remembers MySpace? Before Facebook came along. What happened to MySpace? Gone. And who remembers this?
Years of being the biggest name in town.
I don't wanna grow up, don't wanna grow up. I don't wanna grow up, don't wanna grow up. I don't wanna grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. There's a million toys at Toys R Us that I can play with. From bikes to trains to video games, it's the biggest toy store there is. I don't wanna grow up, 'cause if I did, I couldn't be a Toys R Us kid. I don't wanna grow up, don't wanna grow up. I wanna be a Toys R Us kid.
Toys R Us gone. Now all of a sudden, that term I learned years ago in the business world of grow or die starts to make a little bit more sense, because if you aren't growing, you might end up gone. And a piece of my childhood is now officially gone. Back in September of last year, Toys R Us announced that it was filing for bankruptcy. Some restructuring was going on. They were going to try to pay back some debt. They were going to close half their stores, but they were going to keep on keeping on. Keep trying to sell a bunch of us toys. And it turns out this month, they've now decided to liquidate all their stores. And Toys R Us is now about to be gone. Who remembers going to Toys R Us growing up? Or who remembers right now, if you happen to have kids, taking them to Toys R Us? It's always interesting for me to hear from people what was their favorite toy or gadget growing up. What was your favorite toy or gadget growing up? And then now, even as adults, we still enjoy playing with toys and gadgets. What's your favorite toy or gadget as an adult? And by the way, this is a PG program, so please, if you're answering or calling in or you're answering online, PG, rated G, favorite toys and gadgets. Now, favorite toys and gadgets when you're growing up. Me, I think it was G.I. Joe. It's one of my favorite toys or gadgets growing up. Playing with those little action figures. What about you? And then best favorite toy or gadget now? Unfortunately, I think my favorite toy or gadget now might be my iPhone, which might even be bad for my health as much as I spend so much time on that thing. Let me know. With that, let me just go to the Facebook Live real quick and say a couple shout outs. Shout out to Mr. Gardner Douglas, who says, tell him how you feel. I'm going to do that. And I want you to tell me how you feel too. And shout out to Daryl, who says, what council are we supposed to speak to? He fired Dowd. I didn't even have him in my bracket. And I think Dowd's referring to potentially some of the stuff going on with the stormy weather at the White House. With that, though, let me know, what was your favorite toy or gadget growing up? What's your favorite toy or gadget now? Toys R Us is gone because they didn't grow. So now they are dying. And so for those who, a lot of underdogs out here in the side hustles, they got a lot of stuff going on. Man, if you're not growing, you might be dying. So make sure you stay on it and stay innovating. Supposedly, they were saying Toys R Us lost its way because it had too much debt. So hopefully you don't have too much debt in your own life, your personal life, your business life. They said also competitors came at them. If you're not innovating, people pass you by. And then also, it's just a different time now. The .coms, people buy toys at Walmart, Target, all types of places like that. Buy stuff online at Amazon. So, underdogs, if you're not growing, you could end up down. All right, other unavoidable news of the week. And later on in the show, actually, I do want to talk about, speaking of kids and toys and things like that, and today's theme of Are You Kidding Me? Remixes and I'm Sprung. I do want to talk about some of the things we learned as kids that we might want to unlearn, and then some things that we did as kids that would probably help us now if we did them still as adults. And we'll get to that later in the show. All right, on to more unavoidable news of the week. You ever remember when you were a kid and you had those friends that you would tell them a secret? You might tell them something like, hey, I like such and such or so and so. And then like a day later, so and so comes over to you and says, I heard you like me. And you're like, what? How'd you hear that? I hated friends who couldn't keep a secret. Or you did something and you told your friend, don't tell anybody. And then they told your parents or told the teacher, and you're like, tattletale. Hated friends who were tattletales, couldn't keep a secret. Keep my stuff private. Well, fast forward to your adult life now, and turns out there might be someone else who might be like one of those kids who just can't keep a secret.
So in 2015, some journalists from The Guardian told us that they had seen or had some evidence that data that this app developer, Alexander Kogan, who built this personality quiz app, and a bunch of people used it and shared data with it, had sold that data to Cambridge Analytica and a few other firms. And when we heard that, and that's against the policies, right? I mean, you can't share data in a way that people don't know or don't consent to. We immediately banned Kogan's app, and further, we made it so that Kogan and Cambridge Analytica and the other folks with whom we shared the data, we asked for a formal certification that they had none of the data from anyone in the Facebook community, that they deleted it if they had it, and that they weren't using it. And they all provided that certification. So as far as we understood around the time of that episode, there was no data out there.
Is Mark Zuckerberg that friend when you were growing up that now you can't trust? He can't keep a secret, can't keep all your personal information private. Is he a tattletale? Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook in some trouble. By the way, if you're thinking about like cutting your Facebook, getting off, at least wait till, 2 and, keep watching on the Facebook Live, facebook.com/Gregory Neesmith. It's all good. But Facebook in trouble. It seems that Facebook potentially violated a 2001 consumer consent agreement on how it would handle user data and how it would notify us users of any changes it might make to that policy. And supposedly they are also being investigated for allowing this firm called Cambridge Analytica to access some of Facebook users' data. That could be your data, my data, our data. And all this was related to some of the stuff going on with the Trump campaign and them using data, consumer data, to target voters. And some even think that it helped sway the election. So some people are saying that maybe that tattletale friend, that friend who couldn't keep our secrets, keep our stuff private, that Facebook, say it ain't so, Mark Zuckerberg, Mr. to the left, Mr. Democrat, Mark Zuckerberg might have, supposedly, they're saying, I don't think this is the case, but they're trying to say that maybe Facebook, along with this company, Cambridge Analytica, helped Donald Trump become president. say it ain't so. Just some of the unavoidable news going on this week. Stormy weather still going on. Toys R Us, I don't want to grow up. Toys R Us, they didn't grow, so they're dead, they're gone. What's your favorite toy when you were growing up? What's your favorite toy gadget now? And please keep it PG on what your favorite toy gadget is right now. And supposedly, Facebook out here telling people our business. Now, with that said, though, this story feels a little shaky to me because weren't we talking about in 2008 and 2012 how we were so, and when I say we, for those who may lean to the left, we're so proud of the Obama campaign for all the work they did with social media and data mining and how they were able to target us and get everyone out to vote. People seem to love data mining and Facebook and other social media sites giving up the goods on us. But now all of a sudden, folks mad. Is it hypocrisy? We don't like it anymore because if you lean to the left, you mad because Trump won using social media and data mining and Cambridge Analytics, and Facebook is now that friend that we grew up with who used to tell our business. I'm just saying, sometimes we get real situational as underdogs out here. Let me know your thoughts. And as always, if you've listened to this show before, this is no secret. You know how I'm going to end the show. And I'm going to end it with my favorite quote. Underdogs, can't nobody do it. I mean nobody. Can't nobody do it like you do it. Nobody. Peace.